Hi there, my name is Roseanne Croucher and this is my first proper art tutorial video. Today I'll be showing you how I painted this landscape. So let's get started. For this painting I'm using a limited palette with these 6 colours here. I start this session by pre-mixing my main colours on the palette. I don't usually do this, so I'm not sure why I chose to do that here, but it was very useful for getting the block-in done quickly. I sketch on the main shapes of my painting using transparent oxide red. I'm painting on copper panel here for the first time, which has a thin layer of oil primer. I start my block-in with the lightest part. Either starting with lights or darks is a great way to get your extremes down first to give you a benchmark for the more ambiguous middle tones. I'm now progressing out from the light, gradually darkening my values as I move away from the light source. Although the sky is mostly grey, it has a mix of warm and cool tones, some pink, purple and blue in there, so I'm making sure I get all of these into my block-in. Use the biggest brush you can for this job. This will help you get the paint down quickly and give you some great expression in your brush strokes. I move down the panel and get the mountains blocked in with a mix of ultramarine blue and white and a dash of transparent oxide red to knock down the saturation a bit. I'm using darker tones as I come down into the mid and foreground and also adding more yellow as I come forward. High contrast and yellow tones should gradually diminish as the painting moves back in space. This allows atmospheric perspective to do its thing. Often in areas like grass, I'll take a rag and wipe back the paint in any areas needed to be lighter at this stage. This brings back some of that juicy transparent paint texture. Now I'm going over the whole surface with a nice soft brush to blend and thin it out, and this will set me up nicely for layer 2. So layer 1 is done, I let this dry for a few days and then we continue. I started with the foreground and used a combination of painting and wiping off with a cotton tip to get this part how I wanted it, textural and soft. You can see my brush size has reduced now that I'm working on the second layer and more control is needed. As I head up into the mountains, I'm deepening that colour for a more dramatic effect, but I'm pulling back to a more mid-value violet for the edges that touch the sky. I want these edges to be hazy and not too stark. This edge is still a bit too sharp for me, so I'm going back in with a slightly lighter violet just to soften that line again. Now we're mixing up some more colour to work on the sky. It's quite a complex sky despite its seeming simplicity. There are lots of subtle value and colour variations to capture here, and I decide to start on the bluer left side and work my way across to the warmer greys on the right hand side. When painting skies, I tend to work outwards from the highlights. This helps me build up the glow first, because it's easier to adjust the non-glowing parts around these areas rather than the other way around. So now we're getting those warmer tones in on the right hand side. I mix everything on the palette as I go. A sky like this can have over 20 little colour mixes on the palette. Ironically, you need a lot more colour mixing to pull off a greyish sky than you do a clear blue sky. I'm bringing some highlights back again after overworking my central sky area. This is my first time painting with a camera right next to my shoulder the whole time, so I did make a few mistakes here that I wouldn't normally make. It's important with skies like this to not have everything too blurry. You need some lost edges and some edges that have a bit more definition. The last accents to apply are the most fun, some faraway lights at the base of the mountain to complete this piece. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning from my process, and I would love to hear your biggest takeaway from this video in the comments below. Although this is my first tutorial, I already have 2 others underway, so hit that subscribe button to be sure you catch my next one. You can find more of my art on Instagram and Facebook. This piece will be part of my next collection released in July, so follow along my socials or sign up to the mailing list on my website if you'd like to be the first to know the details about that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.